My beloved child, the most important test before you now is not whether you can respond within a few seconds, but whether you can remain calm enough to receive something good without allowing doubt, fear, or old wounds to pull you backward. I know you have waited a very long time for change. There were mornings when you awakened, hoping that everything would finally be different, only to face the same unanswered questions again when night arrived. At times you tried to trust, but repeated disappointment caused you to reduce your expectations in order to protect yourself. Today, I do not come to place you beneath a countdown clock, nor do I tell you that a blessing will disappear if you hesitate for a moment. I come to help you recognize that what you truly need to overcome is the habit of doubting every good thing the moment it begins drawing near. Pause for a moment. My child, breathe deeply, allowing your breath to pass through the places within you that have become tense. And then gently breathe out. You do not need to hurry. No one is recording every second in order to judge whether you are worthy enough. I only want you to be fully present, because too many times in the past, precious things passed by, not because they were never meant for you, but because your mind was so occupied by the fear of disappointment. The moment you saw an opportunity, you began searching for reasons it would fail. The moment someone offered you kindness, you wondered whether something dishonest was hidden behind it. As soon as you approached a door, you began preparing yourself to be rejected. These reactions once protected you from pain, but now they may also keep you far from renewal. I know you have heard many promises concerning a financial gift, an inheritance, or a door of abundance that is about to open. But, my beloved child, do not turn expectation into dependence upon declarations that have no foundation. Genuine provision does not always appear as an unexpected check descending from above. It may come through an employment opportunity, an idea that needs to be nurtured, a skill you must patiently develop, or a wise decision that helps you stop losing what you already possess. Sometimes the answer arrives through someone willing to work with you. Sometimes it comes when you finally become courageous enough to leave an environment that has kept you trapped in lack. And sometimes what you call a miracle begins when you change the way you manage your time, money, and the abilities placed in your hands. A door that was once closed may now be beginning to move. But that does not mean you should merely stand still and wait for it to open by itself. Some doors require you to approach them. Knock. Prepare documents. Learn something new. And accept beginning from a humble position. I do not want you to confuse faith with passivity. Trusting does not mean sitting still and expecting everything to fall into your hands. Trusting means preparing even before you can see the result. Continuing to plant what is good before the harvest appears. And remaining faithful in small responsibilities before anyone recognizes you. Great things do not always begin with a spectacular event. Often they are formed through quiet choices, repeated day after day. You once believed you were delayed because you were not fortunate enough. But I want you to look deeper. Some things have not arrived, not because you were forgotten, but because you were not yet ready to preserve them in peace. If a gift arrives while you still want to use it to prove your worth before others, it may become a burden. If abundance arrives before you have learned to establish boundaries, insincere people may quickly drain you. If a great opportunity appears while you are still afraid to say no, you may sacrifice your health, dignity, and peace simply to keep it. Therefore, Preparation is not punishment. It is mercy helping you become mature enough that what you receive will not destroy what is good within you. I also know that voices around you have sometimes weakened your faith. Some people repeatedly reminded you of old failures, saying that you were unrealistic, incapable, or had already missed your best opportunity. Yet the loudest voice may not have come from another person, it may have come from within you. You repeated those judgments until they became a wall. You told yourself that it was too late, that you were too tired, or too wounded to begin again. Today, I do not ask you to pretend those difficulties never existed. I only remind you that the past may explain why you are afraid, but it does not have the authority to determine how you will live from this day forward. Allow those walls to be taken down piece by piece, not through reckless action, but through thoughtful choices. You do not need to prove courage by placing everything you possess into a vague promise. Genuine courage means looking honestly at your financial reality, admitting what is not working, and seeking help when necessary. It means no longer avoiding the numbers, no longer spending money to fill emotional emptiness, and no longer believing that your value depends upon what you own. When you learn contentment, wise management, and patient building, you are enlarging the vessel so that you can receive more without allowing more to control you. Nothing good is taken away from you because of one moment of hesitation. However, I want you to recognize the difference between wise consideration and postponement caused by fear. Consideration helps you examine, prepare, and choose the right time. Procrastination causes you to keep searching for one more reason not to begin. Wise consideration brings clarity. Procrastination makes something simple feel increasingly heavy. Ask yourself honestly, are you waiting for information you genuinely need? Or are you waiting for the feeling of fear to disappear completely? If you wait until every uncertainty is gone, you may remain forever at the doorway. Courage is not the absence of trembling, it is taking one right step, even while your hands are not yet completely steady. I do not need you to send this message to others in order to keep a miracle alive. You do not need to type a number, leave a comment, or prove your readiness before a crowd. Your deepest agreement is revealed in your private life. It is seen when you awaken and complete what you have postponed. It is seen when you submit the application. Open the book you need to study. Make the necessary call, or create a practical plan instead of merely dreaming about the result. It is also seen when you refuse an attractive but dishonest offer, even though you urgently need money. And it is seen when you choose to rest instead of forcing yourself into exhaustion merely to prove that you deserve success. My beloved child, what is being prepared for you is not a reward for a hurried reaction, but an invitation into a new way of living. If abundance comes, use it to build rather than to boast. If you are given an opportunity, preserve it through gratitude and responsibility. If a door opens, do not forget the lessons that helped you stand before it. Remember the days when you had little, so that when you have more, you will not become insensitive to the needs of others. Remember the times you were disregarded, so that when you hold a position of influence, you will not use power to wound others. What I desire from you is not merely the ability to receive, but the ability to use what is entrusted to you with purity. Your life may be about to change in a way you have not imagined, but lasting change rarely occurs within a single moment. It begins within. when you stop seeing yourself as the person who is always left behind. It continues when you leave the mindset of scarcity and learn to value what you already possess. Then it grows through discipline, consistency, and decisions for which no one applauds you. One day, you will look back and realize that the great door did not open with thunder. It opened through hundreds of moments when you chose not to give up. Therefore, open your heart, but do not abandon discernment. Trust, but also verify. Hope, but prepare as well. I, Michael, do not come to frighten you by saying that your gift will disappear after 10 seconds. I come to remind you that you do not need to continue living as though you are unworthy of receiving what is good. You have the right to receive opportunities, to begin again, and to build a future different from your past. But you also have the responsibility to step out of delay. Stop nourishing self-condemning thoughts and act with wisdom. Let today become a turning point, not because heaven is counting every reaction you make, but because you decide not to keep turning away from the abilities you have been given. Choose one practical thing to do after reading these words, something small enough that you can begin, but real enough to create movement. You do not need to see the entire road. You only need to be faithful to the step before you. When you walk in peace, what is right for you will gradually become clear. When you preserve integrity, what comes to you will not require you to lose yourself. And when you become mature enough, both to receive and to share, you will understand that the greatest inheritance is not only what is placed into your hands, but the person you became during the season of waiting. My beloved child, your future is not determined by the months of lack that have passed, for I am opening a new road before you, where restoration, sufficiency, and healthy beginnings can be built through faith, wisdom, and upright steps. The image of a golden check that you may have sensed is not a promise that you should sit still and wait for something to fall from above. Nor is it a miracle that will vanish merely because you did not respond within a few seconds. It is a symbol of the value I have placed within your life, of resources you never imagined you could reach, and of your ability to rebuild what was once wounded. The shining numbers upon it do not speak only of money. They also symbolize redeemed time, restored strength, opportunities arriving at the proper moment, and discernment that helps you stop wasting precious things in places that produce no good fruit. I know your heart has often wavered whenever you heard about abundance. One part of you longs to escape pressure, while another is afraid to hope again. You have waited before and been disappointed. You believed great promises and later had to gather the broken pieces alone. Therefore, when a new opportunity appears, you often do not know whether to open your heart or maintain distance. I do not condemn you for that caution. I only want you to distinguish between wisdom and doubt. Wisdom helps you examine, prepare, and move responsibly, while doubt causes you to exclude yourself from good things before they have the opportunity to take root. You do not need to believe every promise, but do not conclude from past wounds that your life must forever remain in scarcity. The test before you is not whether you react quickly enough. I am not counting down in order to make you afraid of losing a blessing. What I want to see is whether you are willing to leave behind the way of thinking that has kept you small. Do you still believe that prosperity belongs only to other people? Do you still think you are incapable of managing a great opportunity? Will you continue sabotaging something good simply because it exceeds what feels familiar? This is the real crossroads. One road leads back into fear, where you delay, shrink yourself, and wait for others to confirm your worth. The other road requires you to walk in maturity. Learn what you do not yet know. Manage what you already possess. And stop seeing yourself as someone worthy only of what remains after everyone else has received their share. Perhaps recently you have felt an unfamiliar stirring within, as though something new is approaching, but you cannot yet name it. Receive that feeling calmly. Do not immediately turn every sensation into a prophecy, but neither should you dismiss the call urging you to live more responsibly. Perhaps the great beginning will not be an unexpected sum of money, but an idea you have delayed, a skill you need to learn, work you need to complete, or a conversation you need to have. A miracle sometimes looks like an ordinary opportunity whose value can be recognized only by someone who has prepared. I do not merely want to open a door for you. I want to make you steady enough to walk through it, wise enough to preserve what you receive, and generous enough to use it in a life-giving way. You have often felt that your energy and effort were blocked. You began and then had to stop, built and then faced another obstacle, hoped and then watched another door close. There were times when you believed the opportunity had gone to someone else, that you were always too late, or that something important was missing within you. But look again. Through each interruption, you learned patience, were forced to recognize weaknesses, and learned not to place all your hope in one outcome. What you call the fourth attempt may simply be the moment when you return with a more mature spirit. It is not that the first 3 attempts took away something that belonged to you. Rather, through them, you learned what was necessary so that this time you would not repeat the same pattern. I do not give your portion to someone else merely because you hesitated. Nor do I withdraw what is good in order to punish your uncertainty. However, every opportunity requires a practical response. If you want your financial life to change, you must become honest about how you use money, time, and ability. If you want to build abundance, you cannot keep following impulsive decisions, promises of easy wealth, or habits that cause every resource to disappear as soon as it arrives. Sustainable provision walks together with discipline. An open door requires feet willing to move, hands willing to work, and a heart not governed by greed. I want you to experience abundance, but I do not want abundance to become a new chain that causes you to lose peace, compassion, and integrity. The most dangerous thief in this season is not one particular person, but the voice that continually tells you that you are not good enough, that it is too late, or that you will certainly fail. That doubt caused you to abandon many things before they had time to mature. It made you compare your beginning with the long-developed achievements of others, become ashamed because you did not yet possess what you believed you should have, and then use that shame as a reason to remain still. End that cycle. You do not need to prove your value by becoming wealthy quickly. Your value existed before every achievement. When you understand that, you can pursue progress without turning money into the only measure of your life. I know you are tired. I know there are financial burdens you have told no one about. Nights when you calculated every expense and wondered how you would manage. I know you sacrificed to help family members, delayed your own needs, and often pretended to be calm so that others would not worry. None of this is invisible to me, but your reward is not merely repayment in the form of a number. I want to give you clarity so that you no longer carry the responsibilities of others. Courage to establish boundaries, and the ability to build a life no longer dependent upon crisis. Sometimes restoration begins when you stop rescuing everyone with resources you do not have. Sometimes a financial door opens when you finally say no to what keeps depleting you. Remember that true wealth is not found only in an account balance, but in your ability to sleep peacefully. Live without owing your worth to the approval of others. Work with dignity, and possess enough to share without destroying yourself. I do not want you to pursue large numbers and lose what makes life worth living. Build slowly but firmly. Learn to manage what is small before asking for what is great. Value every lawful, honest opportunity that aligns with the principles you desire to preserve. When you walk in this way, the right doors will not require you to deceive, manipulate, or sacrifice your peace in order to enter them. Therefore, my beloved child, open your heart not to a promise of instant wealth, but to the possibility that your life can genuinely change when you walk with me through wise choices. Do not allow fear to keep you motionless, but neither allow impatience to pull you into what lacks clarity. Move one step at a time. Complete what is already in your hands. Care for your present resources. And do not reject yourself before the door opens. I have seen every tear, every sacrifice, and every day you continued trying quietly. Now, I do not merely want to comfort you, I want to teach you how to build, preserve, and increase what is entrusted to you. Your future does not rest in an imaginary check that can disappear after a few seconds. It is being formed through the healing within you, the wisdom you choose, and the courage to move toward the abundant, upright, and lasting life you have been afraid for too long to believe you could receive. My beloved child, you were not created to keep lowering your head and silently enduring pain while pretending everything is fine, simply so that others do not have to face what they caused. I saw you swallow your tears, try to remain calm while your heart was breaking, and repeatedly tell yourself that if you endured a little longer, everything would change. But patience does not mean allowing injustice to continue. Forgiveness does not require you to remain where you are disregarded. And kindness does not demand your silence when your dignity, safety, or rightful interests are being violated. I come to remind you that your gentleness is not permission for others to cross every boundary. You have the right to speak with discernment, seek help, and leave what continually causes you pain. You have come much farther than you once believed you could. There were days when you thought you had no strength left to rise. Yet you still got up and completed what was necessary. There were nights when you cried without knowing whom to tell. But when morning returned, you continued living with whatever courage remained. Those tears are not currency exchanged for blessing, nor are they proof that you must suffer more in order to be loved. They are evidence of a journey you endured faithfully. They show that even when you were hurt, you did not allow bitterness to turn you into someone like those who wounded you. The most precious things formed during those years are wisdom, the ability to recognize boundaries, and the courage to choose another road. I know that at times your chest has felt heavy, your sleep has been troubled, or dreams have caused you to awaken in anxiety. Do not immediately assume that every sensation is a warning about a mystical event. Stress, exhaustion, and unresolved memories may also appear through your body and sleep. Listen to yourself with compassion. If you frequently experience chest pain, difficulty breathing, insomnia, or any unusual symptom, seek qualified care. Genuine faith does not require you to neglect your health. I do not guide you through panic about a deadline such as midnight. I guide you through clarity so that you can make wise decisions in peace. Perhaps there has been someone around you who smiles warmly, yet whose actions are not fully consistent with their words. You may also fear that your name has been used in documents, stories, or decisions without your knowledge. I do not want you to immediately conclude from a feeling alone that someone is secretly acting against you, but neither do I want you to disregard genuine signs. If the issue concerns documents, employment, finance, or your rights, examine the evidence, preserve necessary correspondence, and seek qualified advice. Protection is not found only in prayer. It is also expressed when you read carefully before signing. Keep records, ask clear questions, and refuse to let fear cause you to avoid the truth. If someone truly used your name dishonestly, you do not need to retaliate with your own hands. But neither does this mean you must stand by while the consequences continue. You can protect yourself through proper, transparent, and lawful methods. Distinguish between justice and revenge. Justice seeks to restore truth, protect the harmed, and prevent wrongdoing from continuing. Revenge merely wants to see someone else suffer in exchange for your suffering. I do not want your heart bound to the desire to witness anyone's destruction. When you spend too much time waiting for another person to be punished, they continue occupying your mind. Freedom begins when you do what is necessary and then refuse to let the past rule every new day. It is also possible that a woman who once called herself close to you spoke unkindly when you were absent. If confirmed, this would naturally grieve you. But do not allow one second-hand report to become an immediate verdict. Consider whether the source is trustworthy, whether the words were removed from their context, and whether a repeated pattern of dishonesty exists. When necessary, you may speak directly in a calm tone. Explain what you heard, what you felt, and which boundary you need, rather than accusing someone with information that has not been verified. A sincere person may feel hurt when questioned, but will be willing to clarify. Someone dishonest will often avoid responsibility, change the story, or make you feel guilty simply because you asked. I do not promise that those who hurt you will face some strange punishment that no one could have arranged. But every choice carries consequences. A person who continually spreads harmful words will gradually lose trust. Someone who lives through manipulation will struggle to build lasting relationships. A person who protects their image by sacrificing others will eventually live with the fear that truth may be revealed. You do not need to organize their collapse. Allow time, truth, and their own actions to reveal what needs to be seen. Meanwhile, use your strength to build what belongs to you instead of standing beside the road, waiting to see who receives consequences. If you become sleepy while listening to or reading something, your body may simply need rest. Do not allow anyone to convince you that natural fatigue is an attack designed to prevent you from receiving help. Messages that use fear to force you to keep paying attention do not always bring what is good. You are allowed to pause, sleep enough, and return when your mind is clearer. A trustworthy truth does not disappear because you rested, nor does it threaten that this is your final opportunity. that you will lose a blessing if you leave, or that only one scroll can save you. What comes from light does not seize control through panic. It respects the freedom and ability to think that have been given to you. You also do not need to type any word or number in order to be loved, protected, or blessed. Mercy is not unlocked by a comment. Spoken declarations may help you remember a decision, but they are not conditions that allow goodness to find you. If you wish to say Amen, say it because your heart genuinely agrees with an upright life, not because you fear missing an opportunity if you remain silent. Let your agreement be shown through the way you live. Care for yourself. Speak truth. Seek help. Stop returning to dangerous places, and stop defending behavior that harms you. These are stronger declarations than any number. I know that you once stood close to the edge of despair and believed no one cared about the silent battle within you. You felt that others saw only your ordinary appearance without recognizing how hard you had worked to continue. But my beloved child, the fact that you are still here does not only prove endurance, it also reminds you that you deserve support. Do not isolate yourself and call it strength. Find someone trustworthy with whom you can speak. If sadness becomes too heavy, seek a professional who is equipped to walk beside you. Receiving help does not make your faith smaller. Sometimes the answer comes through an honest conversation, a listening hand, or a trained person who helps you carry what you should never have had to bear alone. I do not tell you that you have been watched every second in order to place pressure upon you. I tell you that you never became worthless merely because someone failed to recognize your pain. You are loved, not because you endured enough, but because your life has value. You are better protected when you cooperate with wisdom, establish boundaries, choose trustworthy companions, care for your health, and believe verified facts rather than inflammatory claims. Genuine protection does not make you afraid of everyone. It helps you recognize who deserves to come close and who should be loved from a safe distance. Therefore, rise, not to attack anyone, but to reclaim your voice. Preserve your dignity, and stop accepting what you know is wrong. Let those who once disregarded you see the change, not through your anger, but through the fact that you are no longer easily manipulated. You do not need to wait for an event before midnight for your life to change direction. The turning can begin the moment you make one conscious decision. No longer suffer silently. No longer seek approval from those who continually deny you. And no longer hand your future to fear. My beloved child, I am here to remind you that deliverance is not the roar of revenge, but the peaceful breath of someone who has finally stepped out of what once imprisoned them. You do not need to witness another person's failure in order to know that you have overcome. Victory is when you can sleep without replaying every argument. Say no without guilt. Hear a rumor and remain calm enough to verify it. And look ahead without needing the past to return and apologize. Continue walking with that discernment. What is genuinely good will not require you to tremble in order to receive it. And what truly belongs to you will not demand that you sacrifice peace in order to keep it.